Hari Om. Kathopanishad is a very ancient Upanishad, and the main thing which is said, main teaching in this Upanishad or all other Upanishads also is to recognize our own self. That is the essential teaching in all the scriptures. They say you know yourself as you are. Only when I come to know myself as I am, I will be looking at the world and looking at everything, my relationship, all actions, everything will be in a different way altogether. Even in Bhagavad Gita we find that when Arjuna was confused, Bhagavan told Arjuna that you know yourself as you are. Recognize your own identity. Because whenever there is identity crisis, all other crises follow. We should be able to know ourselves from the highest standpoint, and we should also know ourselves from the relative standpoint. So when we know ourselves in the relative standpoint, we come to know our duties also. Like Arjuna, he was a Kshatriya and he had his own role to play in the society. And when he came to know about it, he was very clear about his duties. So we have to understand what is my relative personality, and also I should know what is my ultimate nature of my self. So the Upanishads are the most ancient scriptures which are like mirrors which show us our real face. And all the Upanishads, as you know, are the essence of all our Vedas. So Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, Atharva Ved. And in those Vedas, we have these Upanishads. We are studying Kathopanishad, which is found in Krishna Yajur Ved. And in this Upanishad, the knowledge of our own self is revealed in the form of a dialogue between Yamraji and Nachiketa. Dialogue is a very good form of revealing the knowledge. Most of our texts are in the form of dialogues, Guru Shishya Samvad, like the Puranas also, even Ramayana and this Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all are in the form of dialogues. So by listening to the dialogue of a great teacher, great master, and equally great student, we also come to understand what is my goal and how to attain it, how to do my sadhana, and ultimately come to realize myself. That I come to know from this dialogue. Kathopanishad is named as Kathopanishad because of this wonderful story of Nachiketa, and also the name of, some say that the name of the rishi was Katha. But this beautiful story is there of a young boy Nachiketa who saw his father. I'm just recapping. So he saw his father performing some yajna, and he saw that he was giving away gifts which were totally useless for a person to whom they were given. So he felt very bad, And he asked his father, "Whom will you give me away to?" So father got annoyed. He asked once, he asked twice. And father got annoyed, and father said, "I will give you to Yamraj." And he thought that I am given to Yamraj, so I should go to Yamraj. So it's a story where Nachiketa approaches the Lord of Death, Yama. It's a symbolic also, because a lot of things we can learn from death. Death also means time, kala. We can learn a lot of things from time. We can learn from time how to transcend time. Yamarajji teaches Nachiketa how to transcend death. So he remains in that waiting for Yamaraj for 3 days. Yamarajji had gone out. So after third day, when Yamarajji returns, he finds that Nachiketa was there waiting for him without food, without water. So he welcomed him, and he said that for these 3 days you spent here, I will give you 3 boons. So in first boon, Nachiketa asked for the peace and quietude of his father. That may my father be happy, peaceful, may he sleep well at night. In the second boon, Nachiketa, he said that please teach me about that ritual by which one can attain Swarga, heaven. And then in the third boon, Nachiketa said, please teach me about my own self. Please tell me what happens after death of our ego also. Please teach me about this Supreme Self. Who am I? I want to know. कि मैं कौन हूँ? Who am I? I want to know. So Yamarajji tested Nachiketa. He offered him a lot of wealth, long life, even great pleasures which are difficult in this world, rare in this world. Yamarajji offered those pleasures, and Nachiketa said, I don't want all this. I only want to know about that self. I want to know myself. Everything else is secondary. If I live in this world without knowing for who is this I who is living in this world? Who is this I for whom I am working and breathing and doing everything? My whole life will be incomplete only. Even if I know all the things of this world, and if I don't know myself, my knowledge is incomplete. So Nachiketa says that please teach me about this self. And he expressed his question in a very beautiful way. He said, please teach me that which is different from dharma and adharma, from righteousness as well as unrighteousness. Because both these are relative. Both this concept of good and bad are with respect to the doer. And what is good for one person may be bad for the other. What is good for human being may be bad for other beings. What is good for the ministers may be bad for the country. So, what is good for one may not be good for others. So, it is relative with respect to the doer, the ahankar. But that self is beyond both good and bad. Self is beyond both cause and effect. Self is beyond the past and the future also. So anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra kritat akritat, anyatra bhutachya bhavyachya, yo tatpashyasi tadvada. That which you are seeing, which you have experienced, please tell me about it. And this Yamarajji begins his teaching. First he says that I will tell you what is that supreme self, supreme reality. It is called Om. It is named Om. Om is the most universal, most beautiful name and indicator of that supreme reality. It is everyone's name. If you forget your name, you have to just remember Om. Generally, we don't forget our name. But Om is our eternal name. It is there. Not only that name indicates who I am, but it also helps me to gain that state of enlightenment. It's a path, it's a goal, it's a support. Yamraji says it is the subtlest support of recognizing your own self. So after indicating that supreme reality, that self as Om, Yamraji begins his teaching by telling us few things more about that self. He says just by listening to pravachan, giving pravachan, or just if a person has got a great intellect, it is not possible to know the self. The self can be known only by those who totally 100% dedicate themselves to that self. Those who 100% choose that self alone. Yame vaishya vrunate tena labhyaha tasyesha atma vivrunute tanum swam. That one who chooses that self and self alone, one who chooses that state of enlightenment, one who strives with full sincerity towards this goal, will be able to attain it. There are many, many great realized masters in the present time, also in the past, not only in this country, but in all the countries of the world. We have great realized masters who have attained this goal. And they also guide others that you also can follow this path and attain it. Yamarajji continues teaching Nachiketa in various ways. In this third section, which we started in our last class, he gives a beautiful description of this chariot. We will chant those mantras and will continue understanding. So section 3, mantra 1, from there we will chant. Those who have this book, it is on page number 131. Ritam pibanto sukrutasya loke Goham pravishtav parame parardhe Chaya tapo brahma vido vadanti Panchagnayo ye chatrina chiketaha Yasse turi jananam Aksharam brahma yat param Abhayam titirshatam param Nachiketam shakemahi Atmanam rathinam vidhi Shariram rathamevatu Buddhim tu sarathim vidhi Manapragrahamevacha Indriyani hayan ahuhu Vishayansteshu gocharan Atmendriya manoyuktam Bhoktetyahurmanishinaha Yastva vijnanavan bhavati Ayuktena manasa sada tassendriyanyavashyani duštashva iva sarathehe. In this section, in the beginning, Yamraji tells Nachiketa that there are these two as though two beings are there seated in our heart. One, and both of them are like light and shadow. This is a very famous concept which is there given in Mundaka Upanishad also, that there is this one real self who is also indicated as Ishvara, and there is also Jiva seated in our heart. We have the Supreme Self and the shadow of the Supreme Self. Both of them as though are in our own heart. We can recognize them. At present, what we are experiencing as I, in the state of ignorance, what we experience as I am a man, I am a woman, I am a Hindu, Muslim, I am Indian, I am young, old. That I, what we are experiencing, is the shadow or the reflection of the real I. This shadow is created by our thoughts. It is formed from thoughts. Whatever we think about ourselves are nothing but thoughts only. Our memories, our experiences, our ideas, all of them are nothing but thoughts. So thought created personality. The I, what we call ahankar, or we can call it jiva, is like a shadow, a reflection of the real self. The real self is superior to it. It is untouched by all this matter. It is infinite. It is pure existence, consciousness, bliss. So we have to, when we do the sadhana, slowly we shift our attention from the shadow to the real. And this is the yatra. This is our journey from the reflection to the real thing, from the false I to the real I, surrendering the false into that real. That itself is called surrender. In Gita also Bhagavan says, you drop all dharma, sarva dharman parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja. When Bhagavan says mam, when he says I, it is the real self. And when he is talking to Arjuna, it's the reflection. So he is telling Arjuna, you surrender to that real self within you. You surrender to that divinity within you. You surrender to that God who is there in your own heart. Drop your false identity. Drop this artificially created personality and surrender to yourself. I keep giving that example of our internet. Nowadays it's the internet world, Facebook world. So Facebook personality is there and the real personality is there. Let's compare it to, So when you are sitting in front of your laptop, you are the real one, but you have an artificial personality in the computer, created by you, modified by you. Constantly, some people constantly modify also. They are more active in the net than outside. But that is not the real personality. But after living in that cyber world for a long time, suppose one lives for a long, long time, one will consider that as the real personality. One will forget the real self. Like some people, they act in some drama and they identify with that personality in the drama so much that they forget the real self. In the same way, we have identified with this false, imaginary personality of us, of ours, which is what is called the jiva or the ahankar. And this ahankar is now living in this body, among the thoughts, performing all different types of actions and experiencing the joys and sorrows of this world. Spiritual path is to shift this or take this ahankar and dissolve it into our real self. That itself is called yoga also. Let the false identify join with the real. It's like the reflection of the sun or the moon when we see in the bucket of water. It's a beautiful bucket, water is there, and we see the reflection. The reflection, however good it might look, is not the real moon. So we have to shift our attention from the bucket to the water, from the water to the reflection, from the reflection to the moon. Similarly, our body is like a bucket, whether you like it or not, but that is what it is. In English, they have a good saying, kick the bucket and all. So body is like a bucket. Our mind, our thoughts are like the waters in the bucket. There are good thoughts, bad thoughts, dirty thoughts, clean thoughts. All this is like water in the bucket. When the water is pure, clean and still, the reflection of the moon is very clear. We can almost feel that it is the real moon. Though it is not the real moon, but it is as near to the real moon as can be. If the water is still and pure. Same thing is with us. When the mind is dirty, when there are a lot of disturbing thoughts, when there are a lot of impurities in the mind, then our understanding, our recognition of our own self, the reflection of our own self is not clear. And self is of the nature of happiness. Self is of the nature of peace. So when the reflection is not clear, we don't experience peace and happiness. We experience sorrow, pain, trouble, fear. But as our mind starts becoming more and more clean, more and more still, we start experiencing the reflection of our own self, which is nothing but ego only. The ego as though becomes clean. The reflection becomes more and more clean. The reflection becomes more and more clear. And when the reflection becomes absolutely clear, when the waters of our mind, the thoughts become absolutely still, then a strange thing happens. What happens? Our attention shifts from the reflection to that object which is reflecting. Our attention shifts from the ahankar to our own self. We come to recognize ourselves as we are. Patanjali Rishi talks about it in a beautiful way in the third sutra. कि तदा द्रष्टुः स्वरूपे अवस्थानम. When the chitta vritti nirodh happens, when the mind becomes absolutely, chitta becomes absolutely still, that reflection, that drashtu, the seer, gets established in his own self. So this is our journey. We are caught up in our body, we are caught up in our mind. We have to take this journey and reach our own destination, that is our own real self. This is the journey which we have to undertake. The one who undertakes this journey is called a spiritual seeker. Now, in order to take this journey, we need a vehicle. Right? Because it's a long journey, so we need a good vehicle. So Yamaraj is giving us a vehicle here. He says, you have that vehicle. Your body is the vehicle. Your own senses are the vehicle. Your own mind and intellect is part of that vehicle. We have to use this and reach our destination. We have to use this intelligently and reach our destination, our own self. So, beautiful description of this chariot is given here. Ki this body is like a chariot. Atmanam rathinam viddhi shariram rathamevatu. This sharir is a chariot. And Atma, the real self, is like the owner of this chariot. Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi. And buddhi, our intellect, the capacity to discriminate, capacity to judge, capacity to contemplate, that power which we have within, the power which can analyze even our emotions, that is our intellect. That intellect is like a sarathi. Sarathi means the driver, the charioteer, who plays a very important role. Drivers, they have a great role to play. All of you must be having that experience. If the driver is, if he is little, what you call, off center, then everyone who is there in the car can go off center. Many times they say, pata hai saab, mujhe rasta pata hai. You want to go to Gurgaon and they take you to Faridabad. Rasta bilkul pata hai. So the charioteer of our life is our own intellect, nobody else. Even when we say that no, he is I listen to my father, I listen to my brother, my teacher is there, my relatives are there, they are my charioteers of my life. Ultimate decision you only take. Even to follow someone, I take the decision. So the intellect, our own intellect, is the charioteer. So intellect plays a very important role in taking us to our destination. In Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagwan himself sits in the place of that intellect to show us the importance of that intellect. He becomes the charioteer of Arjuna's life, of Arjuna's chariot. So buddhim tu sarathim viddhi, and mana pragrahamevacha, and our mind is the pragraham, means the reins which holds the horses together. The mind is directly connected to our senses. The senses are like the horses, and mind is directly connected to the senses. Mind is like the inner sense organ, and all our sense organs are like directed outward. So mind plays a very important role to hold the senses in control. If the charioteer holds the mind and the mind holds the senses properly, we will be able to take our chariot to our destination, whichever we want to attain. Because the chariot should be under our control. Chariot moves by the power of these horses Those are the senses. Our senses take us into this world. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the 5 objects which we experience through our senses. Shabda means we hear sound. Sparsha is touch. Rupa is form and color we see. Rasa, the taste. And Gandha, smell. These are the 5 objects which we experience in this world, not more than 5. All objects of this world are combination, permutation of these 5. Therefore, this world is called Prapancha only. It is all 5. 5 elements and 5 objects related to those elements. So the senses move in this world of objects. And in order to recognize myself, I have to make the chariot steady. I have to make the chariot horses steady. That's called meditation. Meditation means not to move the chariot. First select a good place, parking. Otherwise some police will come and make you move. So select a good place and then make the body steady, make the senses steady, make the mind steady. If the senses are steady, mind automatically becomes steady because they are connected. And let the charioteer also be steady. So when all this steadiness comes, we come to recognize the master who is sitting in the chariot. The master is recognized. So Atmanam Rathinam Viddhi Shariram Ratamevatu Buddhim tu Sarathim Viddhi Manapragrahamevacha Indriyani Hayan Ahuhu. The senses are the horses and Vishayans Teshu Gocharan, and the sense objects are the roads on which the senses move. And the Atma, identified with the senses, the mind, the intellect, becomes the enjoyer of the results of action. That is the reflection of that self. That is the ahankar. Ahankar is the self identified with the body, mind, senses, etc. So Atmendriya Mano Yuktam Bhokta iti ahuhu manishinaha. The wise say that the bhokta, the enjoyer, is that Atma identified with the body, mind, senses, etc. So this is a beautiful chariot of our life, our body, and we have to use this chariot to reach our destination. But the beauty of this destination is that wherever we are, that is our destination. The moment makes us unaware of our destination. Our destination is to recognize that master who is sitting in our own heart. And that recognition happens when we stop. When we stop the chariot from moving and look within, and we will see the master seated in our own heart. In Gita, Bhagavan says, Ishvaras sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati. That Ishvara is sitting in the heart of every being. He's not out, he's out there also, everywhere. But if you want to see that Ishvara, if you want to meet your own divinity, we have to enter our own heart. And that is done through meditation, through silencing the mind, silencing the thoughts, silencing the senses, and we recognize our own self. It's like silence itself. Suppose you want to hear silence. What should we say? Which mantra? Which bhajan should we sing loudly if we want to hear silence? What music we should play or drums we should beat? If we stop doing all those things, we will hear silence. Silence is natural. Noise is artificial. Meditation is natural. Thinking is artificial. but we have lived in this artificial world for such a long time that it seems natural. Not to think becomes difficult. To silence the mind becomes difficult. So all our sadhana, all our spiritual practices are meant to bring about this silence of our mind. Like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, when he was asked to show God, he said, you just remain still and you will recognize that God within you. Be still and know that you are God. So this is a very beautiful chariot is given here. And then Yamrajji says that one whose mind is not under control, one whose understanding is not holistic, avidnyanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa saha, one whose mind is not under control, tasya indriyani avashyani, his senses will also be not under his control, like a bad horses of a charioteer. And with this uncontrolled mind, uncontrolled senses, uncontrolled the charioteer, we will not be able to attain our destination. And this is now, so how can we attain that destination? What is required? What are the requirements? That is now said in the 6th verse. We'll chant. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada tassendriyani vashyani sadashva ivasarathehe yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada. So if we want to control this chariot, if we want to make the senses absolutely still, steady, because when the senses are steady, the body also becomes steady, the mind also becomes still, and in that stillness we come to recognize ourselves. We have to just recognize once. Thereafter, we can again become aware of the world. The world will be seen from a totally different standpoint. When a realized master looks at the world, he says that the whole world is divine. When a fool looks at the world, he says the whole world is foolish. The world remaining same, it will undergo as though transformation when our vision undergoes transformation. Yatha drishti tatha shrishtihi. As our vision, so is the world. If our vision is narrow, limited, egoistic, the world appears to be different, full of sorrow, pain, fear. But if our vision becomes holistic, then the world will undergo total transformation. Tulsidas ji, he looks at the world and says that in the whole world I see Siya Rama mai sava jagajani. A realized master, Bhagwan says in Gita, he looks at the world and he says Vasudeva sarvamiti, the whole world is divine. So whether the world is actually divine or not, we need not argue. We have to recognize that divinity and then see. Because if we are looking through a mirror, we are looking through a glass, tinted glass of our senses, of our mind. So world appears to us as it is appearing. But when we look, after gaining the vision of ourself, the world will appear divine. So yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada. So Bhagavan Yamrajji says that one who has proper wisdom, vijnan, proper wisdom, holistic wisdom, not just as material knowledge, but knowledge of our own self also. In the schools and colleges, we gain knowledge of the world, but hardly anyone talks about the seer, the knower of the world, the I. The knowledge of the self makes all our wisdom, all our knowledge complete. So, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, one who is vijnanavan, one who is wise. And yuktena manasa sada, and one who has full control over his mind. Such a person will have control over his senses. Tasya indriyani vashyani, all the senses will be under his control. Sadashva iva sarathehe, like good horses are under control of a charioteer. So we have only these three things: our senses, our mind, and our intellect. Senses are gross, mind is subtle, intellect is still subtle. Rather than trying from the senses, that is also one way. Here first is mentioned the intellect, that we should gain proper wisdom. Based on the wisdom, identified with the wisdom, we should have the feeling. And when the feeling, proper feeling is there, or proper attitude is there in the mind, the senses also will come under control. So when all these three faculties of our personality are under our control, we will be able to meditate and recognize ourselves. We will be able to reach our destination. In our school days, I remember we used to have a race. One of the races which we used to have, one race, very strange, was to go slow. I don't know whether slow race or something it used to be called. One who reaches the destination last was given the prize. I think slow cycling or something, I don't remember now. Similarly, here also, who will reach the destination? Who is absolutely slow, who doesn't move even 1 inch, will be able to reach the destination of meditation. One who moves doesn't reach. When the mind, the intellect becomes absolutely still, we become aware of the present moment. Hardly anybody is aware of the present moment. You only remember your life in past tense, like kal aisa kiya tha humne. Present moment is not very interesting to many people. So meditation is being aware of, is to bring our awareness in the present moment, and then diving deep, making the mind still. Because mind, when thoughts come, thoughts take us into past and future. So this happens when the senses becomes absolutely quiet, under control, mind is under control, intellect is wise, then we will be able to reach our destination. That is now said in the next verse. Yastva vijnanavan bhavati amanaska sada shuchihi nasatat padamapnoti samsaram chadhigacchati yastva vijnanavan bhavati amanaska sada shuchihi. First in this verse, Yamarajji tells us who will not attain that goal, and in the next verse he will tell us who will attain the goal. He is repeating some of the thoughts because they are very important. He says one who is not wise, avijnanavan bhavati, and amanaskaha, whose mind is not under his control. See, many people say it is my mind is restless, my mind is this, my mind. Actually, first of all, we should know that it is not my mind because it's not listening to me. First, we should make it my mind. First, we should make friendship with our mind. We should try to understand the mind. We should study the mind like a scientist. We should find out what are the factors which disturb the mind. What are the actions which disturb the mind? What are the actions which make the mind more peaceful, more quiet? What are the attitude which makes the mind disturbed? What attitude makes the mind more steady and calm? If we cannot do this experiment, already the experiment are done by others. We can take their guidance. The scriptures gives us guidance. So attitude, to set right our attitude while living in this world, is what we call karma yoga. To develop that proper emotion, proper love in our heart is bhakti. Proper understanding of life, of ourself is jnana. With all this, we can make our mind, intellect steady and under our control. But if it is not under control, then we will not be able to reach the destination. So, avijnanavan bhavati, amanaskaha, one whose mind is not under control. And the third thing which is said here, ashuchihi, when the mind is not pure. Not pure means tamasic, rajasic, lot of negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred, intense likes, dislikes. All these are considered as impurities of the mind. When these impurities are there, the mind goes real wild. When anger comes, we can't control the mind. Many people remember what they did afterwards then. गुस्सा आके चले जाता है तब पता चलता है. After seeing the whole mahol, they know. Some people understand the anger is arriving shortly. Some people understand anger when it has come, and some people understand it after it has gone. So all these are negativities of the mind, impurities of the mind. So sada ashuchihi nasa tat padam apnoti. Such a person will not be able to attain that goal of self-realization. Then what will happen? Samsaram cha adhigacchati, will remain in this samsara. Will continue to take birth in different forms, different life forms. Continue to struggle. Continue to live like a deluded person only, full of sorrow, full of pain. And who will be able to attain that goal? In the next verse, Yamraj says, Yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaskas sada shuchihi satu tat padam apnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaskas sada shuchihi. Yah tu, but whoever that person is, a seeker, sincere seeker, who is vijnanavan, who has gained the right wisdom. It is said, Janmana jayate shudraha samskarat dvija uchyate vedodhyayi bhaved vipraha brahma janati iti brahmanaha. That by birth we are like Shudra only, uncultured. But when we are given samskar, proper values, proper upbringing, proper education, then we are called Vipra. What do you call? Janmana jayate Shudraha samskara dvija. We are called Dvija. Dvija means twice born. Then Vedodhyayi Bhaved Vipraha. When we gain the right understanding which is given to us in the Vedas, in the scriptures, in the spiritual textbooks, which talks about the self, which talks about the divinity, then we become wise. Otherwise, we are not called wise. By the school and college education, a person doesn't become wise. Becomes wise only by spiritual education. Even after spiritual education, we have to realize that self. We have to gain direct experience of that self. One who has gained that experience is called Brahmana. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. Otherwise, it's just a name. Hum Brahman hai and all. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. So he says, Vijnanavan bhavati, one who has gained proper understanding. Samanaskaha, one who has the mind under his control. When I can make the mind calm and peaceful, I can tell the mind to just stop oscillating, just stop agitating, just remain calm and peaceful. When I can tell the senses that there is no need to collect information of the world. I don't want to know what is happening in the world. I want to know what is happening within me. When I can say, I can keep the senses in switch off mode. This one can understand. I can tell my eyes. Therefore, in meditation, we close our eyes. We close our mouth. We should not keep chewing gum and meditate. So close our mouth. No ear, what you call that, listening to music and all. So ears are also kept closed. And we go within. So the senses are under control. So when the mind is under control, the senses are under control. When the mind is shuchihi, pure, then what happens? Satu tat padam apnoti. That person attains that supreme state of enlightenment. Yasmat bhuyo na jayate, by which there is no more coming back to this samsara. One remains free from all this bondage, becomes free and attains that state of enlightenment. Okay? Now today we will stop here and meditate. Tomorrow we'll continue with other shlokas, but आज थोड़ा सा ध्यान करते हैं, because first day to get tuned to the pravachan and all, it takes time. We had a gap of 2 months, so we will just try to bring our mind and our attention in the present moment. Okay? So just those who want to go, they can go now as the light is on. But others, you remain seated. Keep your book and everything down. Close your eyes. And bring your attention in the present moment. Become aware of the present moment. Become aware of now. Become aware of here. Become aware of the space in which you are. And become aware of the time in which you are. And become aware of the body in which you are. Let your attention come in the present moment. There is a spatial beauty in the present moment. Past is gone. Past will never come back. We can only remember the past. We can never bring the past. Future has not come. Future is unknown. The only fact is the present. Be aware of the present moment. You are experiencing your presence in the body as the one who is enlivening the body, as the one who is giving life to the body. When you leave the body falls down dead. You are the one who is making the body alive. You are one who is present in your senses. Through the senses, you are aware of the world. You perceive the world. You are present in your mind. You experience yourself as I am. Feel the peace and calmness within. You exist, experience your existence, your being, your beingness. feel the same silence which was within. Same is there everywhere. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.